I'm figuring out that what happens is Facebook takes you live while the countdown is on. And so here you are sitting there, checking to see if you have spinach in your teeth. And and everybody's watching you do that. So for the previous shows where I have been saying, am I live? Are we live? And why am I so short? I apologize. I'm learning, and it's a learning curve. And the reason that I'm mentioning that at this moment is because there are a lot of curves right now on the path, and gosh, so many people just struggling a lot, and me too, all the time. But I have a choice. I always have a choice, and I learned this at a very early age. I have a choice. I can suck it up, or I can sit there and complain and wait for my very large Viking father to come over and say, is there a real problem? And I would have to decide whether it was a real enough problem to discuss with him. And usually I would opt for saying, oh, no, actually I'm good. Because there are always bigger problems. Anyway, today is Thursday, and Thor, the god of all kinds of things dramatic and loud and whatnot, is a really good metaphor for what's going on right now, because people are frustrated. And they're frustrated because they feel that they're trapped. They feel that their voices aren't heard. They feel that nobody's listening, that nobody cares, that they haven't qualified to do something or be something. And, I feel for them. I feel for them in a big way, because it really feels terrible when you get the sensation that who you are doesn't matter. It's terrible. Now, I'm just pausing while I'm talking here to check in on the video the way I'm supposed to. I keep forgetting to do this. And there we are. All right. I can see your comments if you choose to make them. I can wave, and I hope that you're there if you choose not to make them. It's all good. We're in this together. Now, back to where I was. I wrote this book called Vicarious as an accident, really, waiting to happen, because I had a nightmare. I don't know whether I had too much pizza too late at night or what, but I had this crazy nightmare. I dreamt that I woke up in the night because I heard a noise, and I live alone. And so I'm sitting there, I'm dreaming that I'm sitting there, clutching the bed covers, wondering what's going on. And a man steps into the doorway to the bedroom. And he's holding two things, much as Magnus holds two things, sword and shield. He was holding one of those manila folders, the kind that I talked about on Tuesday, except that it didn't have the word later written on it. It had the name of a project I was working on. And in his other hand, he was holding a gun. And I'm sitting there staring at this man. And the man said, the stuff that's in this folder, did you write that? Yes. It's good. Thank you. And I don't know, stage manager brain is probably won't use the gun, right? Probably. Look on the bright side. So actor me looked on the bright side and said yes. And he said, listen, I have an idea. I have a deal I think you might like. Okay, because by the way, a gun. He said, yeah, you can write about all the people that I've killed, and then I won't have to kill you. What do you think? And in that moment, I woke up out of that dream, and I sat there clutching the bed covers, and my eyes were that big, and my heart was pounding, and I was speechless. I was beyond speechless. And then I heard stage manager Brain say, "What an awesome idea for a book." And we pivoted. Brain both said, "Ooh, how interesting is that?" Now, there were a couple of things maybe not working for me exactly. The first was that I'd never written fiction. I had made up a lot of stuff throughout my life, plausibly, looking people in the eye, but I'd never written fiction. I'd never written a story of my own design about something that hadn't actually happened. I'd never done it. I'd been an actor, and I had obviously memorized lines from plays that other people had written, stories of things that had never actually happened. But I hadn't done it myself. I hadn't written. The thing is, I was so excited about the possibility of taking that moment and making that the seed, the germ of a story that I could weave, that I forgot to be afraid. I forgot to wonder if I was actually capable of doing it, because it just seemed like such an exciting idea. Good morning, Lyle. I wanted to explore it, and my curiosity carried me away from the fear of standing on the precipice before I took that step. My excitement, my what if, made it so exciting that I lost my fear, and I lost my trepidation, and I lost that nervous part of you that says, "What will people think?" That's the cave brain talking, by the way. The cave brain, whose focus is keeping you alive by keeping you popular with the alpha energy in the cave. And what will people think is a question we ask when we revert back to that very primitive way of thinking. Because frankly, I'll tell you what people will think. People will think, is there more coffee? Waiter, can I get more coffee? That's what they're thinking. They're thinking, "Oh God, I hope I find a parking spot." That's what they're thinking. They're not really waking up in the morning and saying, "Well, I wonder what Abby Hagyard is doing. I wonder what fool thing she thinks is a good idea." They're not doing that. They're way too busy. Way too busy with their strife and stress. Good morning, Steve. It's not that they don't care about you, but they have enough flaming chainsaws they're juggling that they thought was going to be a good idea to be worried about what you might be planning. They don't have room. So I didn't have a name for the story at the time. I just knew that it was so riveting and so weird and so crazy, this whole, if a dream comes to life, or what if a dream is a thing that we experienced in a former life, or, all the questions that we ask when we're up at 3 o'clock in the morning when we shouldn't be. And as I wrote the book, as I was going through it, I was developing the characters and thinking about how to place the story in a way that was interesting to enough other people. I realized that what I was talking about was an exercise in living telling our own story, not getting into the driver's seat and driving ourselves, but being spectators, being passengers, living through other people. And that's where the name Vicarious came from. Now, the really cool thing, if you ever choose to get the book, it's a cool book. It's on Amazon, by the way. You can just go to Amazon, Abby Hagyard Vicarious, and there it is, and I'm not pushing it all. Is that every single person in the book, to a certain extent, is living vicariously. That became the exercise I wanted to try and follow through on. Is it possible that I could capture a moment in time in which everyone whose paths intersected was living through someone else? So that was what I explored. And it was a different way of thinking. Good morning, Maddie. Thank you for joining us. It was a crazy, David, good morning. I hope you got some sleep. Oh my gosh. It was a crazy idea. But I said to myself, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? At the end of it, I'll read it and I'll think, ew, and I won't publish it. And it will have been an exercise in exploring possibility, exploring what if. And so I did it. And when I got to the end of it and I read it, I said to myself, you know what? I really like this. I'm proud of it. I like the people. I like the comedy. And I like the opportunity to explore what happens if we choose to live vicariously. We choose to buy into somebody else's agenda. Because when we take 5 steps back and think about it, here's what we realize. If we buy into somebody else's agenda, they're driving the bus, not us. If we choose to be spectators, we're watching the game. We're not playing it. And you know what? A lot of the time that's okay. I will, when I'm really tired, sit down and watch something mindless on television that I would never think of doing myself, simply because it's a distraction. It's a diversion. It's enjoyable in that moment. I don't want to live that, but it's okay as a break, as a breather. And the reason I'm going through this, talking about it, is because, of course, my focus is us, you, and I, and our possibilities to reinvent life as we know it. Right now, together, we have all these incredible tools, all this amazing technology. Most of it's free. What we have to do is get over our reluctance to learn something new, our reluctance to step outside our comfort zone, and give it a try. What's the worst that can happen? You can make the same mistakes I'm making on video. I was talking to my friend David last night, and I said, you know, it's very freeing to have looked ridiculous on television for so many years, and now on YouTube for so many thousands, millions of people, because I can't really ever look more ridiculous. I've pretty much hit my peak. Anything else I do is a win. And as long as I can enjoy the fact that my flaws have given other people permission to accept their own flaws, then you know what? It was worth it. It was worth it. I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm not a mom, really. What I am is just like everybody else. I'm trying to figure out how to get from here to the other side without falling off the edge of something and looking like a fool. So vicarious is the first stab I took at writing fiction that stayed on the printed page. I had written fiction before. I had written stage plays. I had written about people and ideas that weren't necessarily fact-based. I had performed these shows. People liked them. They bought tickets, they came, they laughed, they cried. So I knew that if you tell a story well, that counts for something. If you tell a story well, that counts for something. If you do a job well, that counts for something. Because someone, at some point, is depending on you. And if you did it well, if you told it well, you gave them something to take away that completely changed their day. And why does that matter to me, to you? Well, because it's a ripple effect. If they have a better day, they're kind of all, wow, that was amazing. And that ripple effect has an impact. The conversation I had last night with a really, really great friend of mine, David, he's going to be one of the chapters in the Pivot book. Pivot Masters of the Galaxy, he's going to be one of the chapters. And the reason I wanted him to be one of the chapters, and so I'm so grateful and glad that he said yes, is because his entire life has been a series of pivots. He has tried something for as long as it took for him to say, okay, I got it, next. And then he's moved on to something else. And if on the outside you looked at what he was doing, it would be very easy to say, well, the man's all over the place. I mean, he's doing this, and then he's doing that, and he's doing the other thing. I mean, for heaven's sakes, what are you doing? But if you take the 5 steps back, you can see that he's always doing one of 2 things. He's either stepping into something existing and making it better, or he's looking at a situation that is still in a formative state, and he's saying, you know what, if we do that there, and then we do this, then magic. And you know what? It works. It works every time. And he takes these steps until whatever it is that he has stepped into can be handed off to someone else to manage. And he says, okay, next. And he carries on. It's awesome. It's hell trying to put his resume together because you have to completely reinvent the concept of the resume. And so when we were talking, I said, okay, so then let's do that. If you can reinvent and I can reinvent, let's reinvent the concept of the resume. Because you know what a resume is? It's a structure with boxes that somebody invented to try and figure out the answers easily. It's a hack. That's all. And all you do after the hack has stopped working is hack it. Change it up. So, vicarious. I'm going to get to live vicariously in the lives of you lovely people who choose to have me include your stories in Pivot Masters of the Galaxy. We're going to talk. You're going to tell me what happened when you came to that moment, that tipping point moment. You're going to tell me what you think it was that nudged you to say, let's go that way. Maybe that way. And I'm going to get to live vicariously as I listen. And then I'm going to do my best to translate what you told me, how you answered my questions. I'm going to translate that into the printed pages and put them in a book. And everyone else who sees the book and buys the book and reads the book and reads your story, all those people are going to say, well, he seemed okay with it. He didn't walk around with egg on his face. She seems happy. Maybe I should stop putting off my shift. Maybe I should see what it's like to pivot. What's the worst that can happen? Really? And we may have a movement. We may have a whole bunch of people pivoting. Because why not? If you're not happy where you are, why not? Makes sense, doesn't it? The thing about being a military kid is pivoting becomes your daily bread, really. And even when you don't like it, you hang on just a second. I've just seen something here. Vern, I never get notifications about these. I only see them later. This one I happened on 18 minutes late. Something is not set to inform your followers that you are going live. Vern? There are so many things about Facebook that I do not begin to comprehend. I think it might be possible that the setting could be in your Facebook. I don't know. I'm not brushing off the responsibility. I have no idea. I promise you, my darling, I will look into it. If it is my fault, mea culpa. All we need to remember is Tuesdays and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 a.m., Abby's live. Be there or be square, really. And if your life is terribly busy, okay then. Obviously, one of us has to figure out what the problem is. So I apologize. If it's me, and I think we have an 80% chance that it's me. Really? If it's me, I'll see what I can do to fix it. If it's not me, I win one. Anyway, aside from that, good morning, Vernon. I hope you're well. Back to this whole idea of the pivot. And this whole idea of, no, it is on your end. Notifications of many others. Thank you, Vern. My bad. Listen, I got the on-air sign on. I remembered both earrings. I mean, we have to cut me a little bit of slack here. Oh, and I changed the shoes. I changed the shoes in the corner. Did you see that? They were black. Now I have the orange ones. I have the orange Julius shoes up now. The whole concept of pivoting, the whole concept of looking at life and saying, no, is something that we're given the opportunity to do every day, all the time, when it doesn't feel right, when it no longer serves, when we've tasted it and said, okay, I understand that many people like grits. I apparently do not share their proclivity, because there's only so much butter, salt, and ketchup you can put on a thing before it stops being whatever it was supposed to be in the first place. Steve, maybe this is a pivotal moment. Steve. Of course it's a pivotal moment. They're all pivotal moments. So, the biggest thing about being able to shift and learn new things when they are thrust upon you is that it's really up to us to decide that we want to. I'm going to divert from being silly for a second, because I have an illustration of this that I think matters a lot. It has framed a lot of who I am, because it was a lesson that was very brutal to learn. And I don't know that I'm a better person for it. I know that I am a wiser person for it. And so I guess that means better. So I am a survivor of parental suicide. It's a long time ago, and I'm fine. I'm good. I'm better than good. I'm grateful for the opportunity to feel gratitude that I had them in my life for so long. But when it happened, I struggled, because I couldn't wrap my head around why people who were strong and beautiful and smart and dynamic and funny would, to my way of thinking, give up. I couldn't. It was beyond my comprehension. And what I often do when I'm completely at a loss is I sit still, or I go for a walk, or I stand in the shower, or I try to stop my brain from spinning and just let the silence do whatever the silence is going to do. And the analogy that I came up with that is continues to work for me, and it was a huge aha in the moment, was a very simple thing, really, a very small thing. We have all been invited to a party, and we've gone. And at some point when we were there, we just didn't feel it. You know, we were excited, and the thing we're wearing is cute, and we're having a good time. We like the people who are there, but there's just something it's not working. You know, it's not nothing bad. It's just nah. And so you go to the host of the party and you say, you know what? I'm going to leave early. It's no big deal. Nothing's wrong. Really? Oh, come on. You know, we want you to stay. I know. But you know what? I'll come to the next one. And we go home and we do something else. We put on comfy shoes and we sit down and we eat cheese doodles or whatever. But we really weren't in it. We weren't there. It wasn't working for us. Somebody once invited me to go hiking. And I went. I even got the shoes. And I was, I don't know, 10 minutes into it, or 40 years, whichever was the real number. And I said to myself, here's the thing. This is not meant for us. And I said to the person, I'm done now. Oh, we have another mile to go. Yes. And you know what? I'm just going to, oh, come on, you'll love it. Wait till you see the view. Yeah, you know what? Take a picture at the top. And I walked back down. Because it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. And I did the same thing when I went skiing that one time. And I realized that was the story that was going to work for me. For whatever reason, my parents chose to say, you know what? I'll see you next time. Love you. Thank you for inviting. Gotta go. And that was all it was. That's all it was. So, for me to pivot past that was for me to own my joy, my gratitude in having them for as long as I did. And completely stepping into the excitement and the curiosity and the anticipation that I feel in moving forward, in following the path, in going to the party, in strapping on the skis. Okay, that's pushing it. But you know what I mean. Pivoting is our opportunity to say, yeah, I'm doing this. And all that we really need to do is do it for the highest good. One of my favorite sayings ever is, first do no harm to others. First, do no harm. Do our thing, but not by stepping on somebody else's face. Do no harm. Do it because we love it. And you know what? When we get halfway there and they say, and we say to ourselves, okay, so not only do I hate this, but what I'm wearing makes me look fat. You're okay to say, okay, never mind, and try something else. It's not life-ending. Good morning, Anne. Thank you for the instructions. Pause for a second. You may need to set it to follow Abby. If you go to her page, click on the Friends button and then choose Follow. Follow me, kids. Mind the alligators. Thank you, Anne. Our job is to experience our lives. That's it. We don't get any guarantees that it's going to be awesome. We don't get any guarantees or warnings that it's going to be terrible. It's just our job to experience our lives. That's it. And when we're done, we're done. And when we choose to say, you know what, I'd rather do it this way or that way, we have total freedom. We can also choose, if we wish, to spectate. We can do that. And we can enjoy being spectators. We can enjoy sitting back and being entertained by others. It's perfectly okay. If that's how we want to live, first do no harm, then we can. If we want to step into something in a big way, if we want to be known for being the person who thought wearing a feather boa while climbing a hill was going to work, guaranteed, guaranteed there will be stories told. There will be songs written. Guaranteed. But we can do it. It's ours to own. It's ours to do as we choose. It's our life. And it's amazing. So, I want to tell you, when I posted on Odin's Day and I said I have this amazing news, I said on Tuesday that I would want to have 12 chapters. I already have 9 people. I have 9 people confirmed. It's only been a week. I have 9 people. You know what that means? It means that there's going to have to be book 2, obviously, because there's going to be amazing stories. So last night, I did my first interview for the book. And I did it with this amazing friend of mine, David. And we talked about all the crazy things that he's done. And we talked about his struggle with resumes, because how do you explain that to people? And we had a memory that we shared together, and we laughed really hard. It was David at Ottawa Comic Con in 2018 who said to himself, oh look, there's Darth Vader. And oh look, these are the you can't do that on television lockers. You know what is going to be an iconic moment in photography? If I get Darth Vader to come over to Abby's booth and stand with her in front of the you can't do that on television lockers. Every single person walking by the booth who is caught up in their own moment is going to see that and stop and say, what just happened here? Oh my God, what just happened here? Because 2 completely separate, parallel memory moments in their childhood are not only alive and well and right in front of me, but they're together. And they seem to know each other. And they're having a good time. I got to get a picture of this. Now that is a pivot moment, if ever there was one. So we can do that. And we are doing that. And the book is going to be filled with stories like that. Because you are my characters. And characters drive story. And once we have the book, we will hold in our hands the tangible example of what Story Me TV represents. It represents all of us saying, well, just because that road is closed doesn't mean I can't get where I want to go. It simply means I get to take another path. And how brilliant, how exciting is that? Right? Okay, I appear to have gone long. Imagine. So, here we are at the end of Thursday. I have interviews scheduled on Saturday and Sunday, and I may even have one tomorrow, and I have something on Monday. So the book is taking shape and form like fire because it wants to. Nobody's saying, oh gosh, I don't know, I was going to wash my nylons. Everybody's saying, yeah, count me in. That means we're onto something. So, Here's the deal. I'm going to do as many books as it takes. If you have a pivot experience in your life, if you pulled out an alter ego and said, I'll save you, Nell, bring on the dragons, then we need to include it, right? If you see the future in Story Me TV, and you see the possibilities for you and other people, you need to be part of it. You need to join me. We need to make this happen, because people like us do things like this, right? So if you're not sure, if you haven't had the opportunity, you can check out the website. It's www.storymetv.com. Pretty much everything is there. You'll get an idea of what my intention is. I don't have this concept of the Pivot Masters there because it's brand new, but Pivot Masters of the Galaxy, the concept of these books, is basically going to drive the 15 Minutes with Abby stories. It's going to be a reality series, and I think it's going to be amazing. Okay, so that's the first thing. If you want to find out more, you can find out more. Once you've finished watching this, I would love it if you commented. I would love it if you like it. I would love it if you share it with your friends. And then, oh my gosh, I'm asking you to do so much today. I can't believe it. Who does she think she is? I would love it if you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't already, and tell your friends. A week ago, we had 49 subscribers. We now have 53. Yes! And so we're going to build. After this video, I will post the direct link to the YouTube channel because it's a bit convoluted. All right? So, Story Me TV, like and share, go to YouTube. Those are my asks today. After that, the weekend is upon us. I want you to do two things for you. Because if it works for you, it works for me. I want you to be good to you. You deserve it. And then, I want you to remember to hug your loved ones. See you soon.